right, before you go any further, make sure your table of contents is updated. It was your bell ringer, but just double check. And that's in Canvas. This video is about the land bridge versus the coastal route theory, and these are just two ideas that scientists and historians have as to how people got to America. So they've tracked it all the way back to Africa, and they have this whole migration of people into Europe, but then in Asia, but then how did they get to this, two separate continents that are surrounded by water from both of those? And so the standard that you're working on for Missouri is evaluate the importance of the discovery, exploration, and early settlement of America. And so we're going to break this down into two I can statements for this lesson, which is I can describe the land bridge theory and I can describe the coastal route theory. Quick refresher, videos for class are to be actively watched, meaning you watch a step, pause, do whatever that task was, then watch another step. And if you're watching and you are confused, rewind the video, rewatch it. It's not just meant to be playing. So watching videos for class is totally different than watching videos normally. We are going to use a Cornell note format for taking the notes this time, and I know you kind of worked on that in English a little bit, so it should be sort of familiar. But just make sure they're neat and organized. This one has lines, so it should be pretty easy. I will show you an example, and then I will go back to the text for you. Make sure you write everything, but I will go back so you can see like the slide version, so it's a little bit easier to copy down. So you should have a paper that looks like this, and if you don't, it is up on the front table, but this is going to be our Cornell sheet. So we'll start our notes with that. All right, so you'll notice I wrote the main idea, the key point, which is land bridge, and then I have my bullet points below. I have a bullet point, and I leave a space in between each bullet point so it's very easy to see. So I will go back to the text, but I just wrote all of the bullet points that were on the slide. And here is the slide. So you can pause, copy this down. My key point would be my land bridge theory, and then I would write my bullet points. So the land bridge theory says that the world was totally covered in glaciers, and glaciers are just frozen water, but it's very compact ice. So you can fit a lot of water into them, and it made the water level sink below what we have today. So it pretty much looked like this. North America was mostly covered in ice, and along with Siberia over there. And the land bridge is right here. So that water levels, the sea levels, were lower than they are today. So there wasn't, right now, today there's water here, but back then there wasn't. And I'm going to show you a video that kind of shows you how it changed. So right here, everything in green was, 20,000 years ago, land. And so the ice caused the sea level to go down. So this is all land. This is what it looked like about 20,000 years ago. And this video shows you how it changed up until present day. And so you can see it's very gradual. There's not a whole lot happening. And this is 17,000 years, 16,000. So in 1,000 years, not a whole lot's happening. While this is changing, people are going across this land into North America. And you'll see at 11,000 years, it starts to get more water. Now we're at 10,000 years, 9,000 years ago. There's water. This is starting to look like present day. This is Alaska right here. And 4,000 years ago, it pretty much looks like what it looks like today. So people would have stopped coming across, or they would have had to use boats. All right, and so land bridge theory says that as those glaciers melted, this green part got covered up by ocean, and water took over, and people could no longer cross. But everyone who crossed within those thousands of years before that happened became the ancestors of Native Americans, who we'll study later in this unit. All right, so now we need to go back to our Cornell notes. Again, just like before, I'm going to write coastal route theory, and notice it's farther down. because I want them to be near the notes that I'm going to write. And I'm going to use the bullet points again with spaces in between each bullet point. I will go back to the text for you. You can go ahead and pause and copy that down. So coastal route theory is different than land bridge theory. It says that instead of walking across a land bridge, they actually used boats, specifically kayaks. And kayaks are primarily used by Inuit natives, which is Alaska natives in the very northern parts of Alaska. And they're covered in sealskin and they're waterproof. But they're really good for going into Arctic waters, which is what they would have had to cross. And this theory says that they hopped along the coast, why it's called coastal route. They were also nomads, but here is what the coastal route theory picture would look like. All right, up here we have Alaska and we have our glaciers. The orange line is the land bridge theory. The pink is the coastal route theory. So you'll notice they just kind of hop along the coast. They would go there to find shelter for the night, to find food on land, whatever, and they're just going to work their way down or stop and stay along the way. And they will also be ancestors of Native Americans, according to scientists and historians. All right, that is it for our notes. So in that summary box on your Cornell notes, you are going to summarize in your own words using complete sentences what we just took notes on. All right? So do that, pause the video. When you're done, you can move on. All right, the next thing you're going to do is draw the land bridge and the coastal route theory on some maps. So in the front table, there is a sheet with 2 maps on it, and it looks like this. All right, it looks like this. You are going to cut the maps out so that they're like this. All right. So first step is cut both of them out. While you're cutting, you're also going to cut out your Cornell notes. You do not need the name, so you can actually just cut on this black line all out, so do that as well. All right, on page 42, you are going to tape or glue your Cornell notes. All right, now on page 43, you have your 2 maps, so make sure you leave room for both of them. At the top of your page, you're going to write land bridge, and then one of the maps, you are going to draw what the land bridge would have looked like. So it goes across at that Bering Strait, Beringa, if the land was still there, and it goes into North America and down. So you are allowed to use a colored pencil, a crayon, or a highlighter, but no other markers because they seep through. And please make it colorful. Don't just use pencil. When you're done with that, you can tape or glue that one in. And then below that, you're going to write coastal route, and the other map will go. And you'll notice I kind of exaggerated it, but make sure it's really clear that there's hopping along the coast and it's not crossing at that land bridge. So it's in water and they're going along the coast. All right, so do that one. Same rules apply. All right, now that you have your Cornell notes taped or glued to page 42 and your maps glued to page 43, you can move on to the assignment for your blog. So in kidblog.org, you are going to answer the following question. Which way, land bridge or coastal route, would you have preferred to travel to America? Why? And be sure in your explanation that you're providing me details about that theory. So if you pick land bridge, you could say, I like the scenery, I want to see a glacier, whatever. Make sure it's very specific to those notes that we just took. And you may need my email to log into KidBlog. There it is. Some of you I know struggled to log in last time and I've reset it, but you're going to need a code, so let me know. All right. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Have a really great day.